I want to welcome everybody to a topic that I'm a big fan of investigating further, creative revenue sources. It's something we're trying to do more of at our organization, offering value for things that deliver additional revenue. And we have two people here who certainly have some experience doing that. Neil Pifer is the president of the Charlotte Curling Association. Welcome, Neil. And Jock Tyre is the general manager of the Kelowna Curling Club in Kelowna, British Columbia. Again, for anybody who thinks maybe the Canadian experience does not match up perfectly with ours, Jock manages a 12-sheet club in a community where there's no shortage of leisure activity options. So he has to compete for those leisure dollars, just like we have to compete for attention and dollars too. So, like I said, Jock and Neil just met each other. So I know Neil has a deck, and I've always enjoyed talking to both of you about these. So I'll throw it to you, and I'll let you guys get through it.
Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for inviting us here. I've been excited about sharing what a mid-size growth club looks like, and I know Jock, you're going to tell a little bit about your experience.
Do you want to start with Jock? Jock, maybe give some rundown on how you some of the programs you've had, and I've had a conversation or two with you about them, but there's certainly some creative ones, and maybe touch on how you're bringing people into your facility.
Well, it's funny because what does a 12-sheet curling club in Canada have to do with some mid-size or smaller clubs in the U.S.? I don't know, but we have had at least a lot of opportunities at my club to succeed and fail, but we failed trying in a lot of ways. I actually had an opportunity. This is the first time I've met Neil, but I'm a bit of a fanboy because I went through and checked out some of the stuff that his club is doing. And it's awesome to see what's happening. For us in Kelowna, we're a four-season kind of town with beaches and a huge lake, a 30-mile-long lake, and some of the best golf courses and wineries in the world, and some amazing ski resorts. So we're in tough trying to compete for those dollars just like everybody else is. So bowling, skiing, golf are all our competition. So we have to kind of find out what makes us different, makes us, in a better way to spend those recreation dollars for people. For Kelowna, what we've done is I've been doing this for a long time. Started when I was 12, working at a curling club, and other than a couple of years for college, I've been working at a curling club my entire life. But we tend to spend some time looking at where the holes are for our leagues, what demand might fill those holes, and who the people are best suited to fill those holes. And then that's what we start targeting for us. And I can tell you for a fact that one of the best things you can do is have an open house. One of the worst things you can do is have an open house, get people excited about curling, and have nowhere to put them. You've got to have some leagues, you've got to have some clinics, you've got to have places that people can go after you've taught them how much fun our game is and how social it can be. I'm going to fire over to Neil because I know Neil's got some slides that he's put together, and then I'll come back in right after him. But keep an open mind, and when you're thinking about stuff, especially what Neil's showing, think about your club and your holes that you need to fill. Neil, I'm going to fire it over to you.
Great. I'm going to share my screen. So let's do this, and it'll just be a second. I won't be able to see much while I'm on my deck, but a little bit about me. I came to curling as can everybody see what showing?
Yep, I see your screen. Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, so a little bit about me. So I'm going to talk to a screen. There's Anne. She is my partner, and my dog Hobbs, who's in the ice this season. That's another topic, because we actually put our pets in the ice, and that was a revenue stream for us. I'm a planetarium director. That's my job, and I work in a public school system at a science center. And I've served on 5 other nonprofit boards, and this is my 7th curling season. So I started. They all think I'm an experienced curler, and I think I'm the least experienced curler in the room. So I appreciate you guys listening to a new curler. Some people I still wouldn't even be playing second. So I did start my first season on dedicated ice, which is not the normal experience for an American curler. And then this is my sixth season on the board and the third season serving as president. And I am curling addicted. So let's see. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is our solutions are not your solutions. We had to absolutely create an intentional experience. I'm really glad that the last presenter kind of stole my thunder and said that because we are doing an experience for our market, our warm room, and our club. And so here's Charlotte Curling in 3 minutes. This is our 14th season, 9th on dedicated ice. We are a nonprofit model, so we're not a for-profit model. We opened with 35 members, and currently we're at 203 members. We had a high of 280 members just a year. This little thing called COVID cut our numbers in half. So we went from 280 down to about 140. And we're in a transient market. So nobody has curled. We've had people come from outside. They'll ask a room full of a corporate event, who has curled? Not a hand goes in the air. They don't know anything about curling except for what they saw on TV. So our Learn to Curl model started off as a grow as fast as possible because we went from 35 members up to 280 in about 4 seasons. That meant that 2/3 of the members had 0 to 3 years of curling experience. So if you had 3 years of curling experience, you were teaching people with 0. And that was our main focus, was a cheap cost, many sessions. We were doing it, lots of entry pass. Later at the start of, we do it at the start of each season like a lot of you do. We have 2 weekends and 1 week where we do mainly, and that's in September and January for us. And so our data showed there was 2 types of people in our market, and these were bucket listers. They saw it on TV, they want to throw rocks. Ooh. And then potential members, about 5% of the participants wanted to join the club. So let me get on and see if there was any hands or anything. All right, cool. I have to flip between screens. It's really weird.
I'll keep an eye on it for you, Neil.
All right, appreciate it. And then we had to do some data-driven solutions. Our survey said, our people talk too much, so I'm going to talk at you about not talking too much. And not enough curling. We were instructing too much. We were trying to give them too much information, talking about etiquette, talking about strategy. Nobody wants to do that. They want to throw a rock, hit the pin, and cheer. And that's what we were there. We found out the lighting in our parking lot at night was too dim. And so people didn't feel safe walking to our club. It looked like it was not an open house. Our people did not expect to be pitched membership on site. That was the last speaker said, look, we're going to have a marriage. And after 2 hours on the ice or an hour on the ice, grippers were a pinch point. They didn't even know what anti-sliders or grippers were. So we had to educate them and then give them a whole space to actually put on grippers. And then the other feedback was, this is too boring and too much time on the ice. It looked like fun on television. And so we made these solutions. We fixed the parking lot lighting. That was an easy fix. Limited the safety talk to 3 minutes, made gripper fitting area, created 2 sets of broom stacking tables to create more space where people could go. This is 40 people per draw. This is going to be probably controversial. We actually factor in people come to a Learn to Curl or Cocktails and Curling. We have about 10% of our people that pay and then don't show up, and they don't want a refund. They just had something else to do. So if we go to 40 people per draw and there's no actual gameplay, no skips, just throw rocks, just cheer, we include a free drink from our bar. Check with your ABC and your tax people before you do that. We had to do that, and we had a little token. And then a big thing for us is our volunteers. We had a hard time finding volunteers because they had just learned curling. They didn't feel qualified to teach curling. So we actually created slots for first and second year volunteer slots, and it wildly increased our volunteer pool. And so we called it Cocktails and Curling. We stole this name. We looked around the internet, saw Nutmeg was doing it, saw Long Island, saw some other people doing it, and we solved all these problems. It created an experience. It lowered the price point. There was no expectation of membership. We actually tell you this isn't a game. We don't want you to join. And it actually created the opposite effect. So they were like, how do I join? We get more bar revenue, and we can get 120 people on the ice in a typical Friday or Saturday night. And so this is just the quick overview of what we gave our instructors. I just took a picture of it. It was just, this is 30 minutes of prep. We just kind of set up the waivers. We set up our stations. I said 5 minutes, but I've gotten it down to 3. And then we sweep, we yell at them, we get them warm on the ice, and then we split up, take lunges, releases, don't even really talk about handle except for that you need to put a handle on it. And then we organize a game. The game is in quotes because the game is darts. We're throwing at the center. And so we tell them this is not a game. This is just one end. We all go to one end. We actually, sheet A goes one direction, B goes the other, all of that. If you have questions about what the mechanics are, you can definitely President at Charlotte Curling or talk around. You can kind of do that. So this is not me talking, but this is how we set it up. This is our warm room, and you can see our members have their toddlers and all of that around. This was during the annual meeting, but we can actually see to the right is our bar, to the left is our ice, and you can kind of see how our stations would be set up. We actually included this in a later version, is that take a picture on the ice. The previous speakers spoke to this, that this is what they want to do. They want to take a picture. They want to have fun. This is what it is. And then this is what a cocktails and curling looks like. It looks kind of like a learn to curl, but everybody's on one edge of the ice. And then if you count in this photo, it's only 3 sheets and you've got 30 some people. So you actually have sheet D to our left. The warm room's empty because this is our last group. So as you kind of funnel through, we actually get 120 people on and off the ice. It's a pretty big operation. The only people you can see in this photo on the back is the bartenders. And then last year, we made $14,000 in 11 weekend nights. And we found that Thursday, I didn't finish that sentence, but was our least popular night. So Fridays and Saturdays, we stick to that. And we increased our database of interested curlers by 780 people. And we ended up with about 20 members. So you can see that's not a low conversion, but it actually led us to a third type of learn to curl. We call it learn to curl the next generation, a 3-hour experience on dead ice for us. So we have 3 different price points. It's a $30 cocktails and curling, which is a drink included, a $45 2-hour experience for people that are maybe interested in joining or just want a longer experience. And then this third 3-hour, half on the ice, half off the ice, much more focused on balance and delivery and those kind of things. And so what are the future problems? We have solved a lot of problems, but we have not solved all the problems. Our market research is that this cocktails and curling format on Facebook is dying. Facebook is dying. We see it. There's now we're having to move to other social media. The advertising dollars aren't being as effective. And so we need to get on TikTok, Snapchat, Slack, and Discord. So we're actually working on that right now. And to market to a younger audience. Charlotte is transient, that's younger, it's diverse, and we have to meet people where they are. So, and our website has a tough time explaining in that 1 click or 30 words or less what the difference between all of these are. So that's one future problem that we actually have our curler development committee working on. So I want to kind of leave you with, I've really enjoyed the journey that this curler development committee, I highly recommend that, come up with a committee structure. I did it without any big fanfare. I just took our top 13 volunteers from our Learn to Curl, and then I brought them in the room and said, do you have thoughts and feelings about our Learn to Curl? And not shocking at all, they all have thoughts and feelings. And so we made changes based on that. So we had to come up with right size solutions for us. And so we have done a really good job. So I'll kind of yield back the rest of my time. And I know Jock has some other thoughts. And then if you guys have questions, I'm happy to answer that. So thanks for let me talk fast and move through some slides. And I kind of am a professional educator, so not seeing everybody's faces and not seeing the reactions or the sleepiness or any of that kind of just tells me whether I need to make a joke or do something else. So thanks.
Fully alert here, Neil.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm so alert after watching Neil, and my pencil just kept writing notes. Neil, you are full of enthusiasm and obviously doing a lot of really good things at your club. I come at it, and you are really representative of what most people are trying to do, is find those new young curlers and tap into that market. We are trying to get people that are already educated, that know something about curling. Maybe for us, we're finding that standing on the ice for new curlers is one of the toughest things, which you addressed, which is getting grippers. So I'm going to fire it off with right away is that we have all the equipment available for people right away when they get started. We have curling rental shoes, which are double grippered shoes with drop sliders, helmets, headbands, all that kind of great stuff that makes it a whole lot easier for people to get started. But more importantly, it's as you said, it's getting some people with some enthusiasm to teach people. There we go. To teach people how to curl. So I'm going to fire it at, I'm going to go at a direct, what we did, a program that we started because we had holes during our daytime that people were not tapping into. And so what we started doing is Mondays, every Monday at 10, it was free open house for seniors. Our seniors taught the program. We wanted to make sure that people obviously were safe. So we started with both stick and regular curling for our seniors open house. We ran it every single Monday at 10 o'clock, so you could just show up. We advertised it on radio, as well as in seniors magazines and at the senior center. And what we found is more than anything, we were getting ladies, which is what we needed. Women, when they were, the demographic for our seniors daytime, were not any kind of athletics at all. Most men participate in athletics of some kind, not all, but most, when they were in high school, but women didn't necessarily. So we found we were getting a lot more women coming out, so we tried to get more female instructors out there, and it was free. And then what we did was, the important part was, we offered free coffee and cookies afterwards for everyone to sit down and discuss it. So what ended up happening is our ladies league grew substantially from 6 teams to 14 teams in a matter of 2 years, and it continues to grow. Our men's section, which was already large, we're 12 sheets of ice. So for us, filling 12 sheets is putting 96 curlers on the ice at any given time. So for us, success is getting more than 3 sheets of ice filled. For a lot of places, success is getting more than 1 sheet filled. And so for us, it's really difficult to operate a building when you've only got 1 or 2 sheets operating. So what we've been doing is, we actually have been running that program, I want to say close to a dozen years now, and it continues to grow people and bring people in, and it's a great thing to offer all year long. It is basically a free open house. But what it did is, it told us where our weakness was, and so what we found is, we converted people that had quit curling into stick curlers. Hey, I came down and I learned to stick curl instead of learning how to regular curl. We now have 36 teams in our stick curling league and have a stick super league. And last year we won the Canadian championships, and that's not how I deem success, as winning championships. I deem success with straight up our numbers. But what it did was, it told us, hey, this is a demographic that needed some help. And so we went after them, and now our stick league is filled up with 36 teams during the day, which not a lot of teams or clubs have. And that's just a territory we wandered into. When we went the other way, when we went with our youth programs and we're looking at it, which to me, having been in the game so long, there is definitely a cycle. And I find that if you've got a strong youth program 10 years from then, and legit, because I've been in the game for over 40 years, 10 years later, you're going to have a strong adult program. If you can get youth, and we consider youth ages 7 to 18, if you can get them actively involved, then what you can do is convert them down the road when they've come out of college, or even when they're in college, into full adult members, because they'll feel a tie to the club. You also end up getting a lot of the parents and families joining in because it's a family sport. So we do days during the year where it's family. We do fun games, much like Neil was talking about, where you're throwing it like a dartboard. What we do is we throw rolls of duct tape down, and literally a roll of duct tape in the middle of the ice, and it's like bocce or lawn darts or any game, lawn bowling, where you're just throwing at a target, and that target is a roll of duct tape. But that gets the kids playing because they're throwing quickly. And here was the kicker, how we got a lot of our youth programs going. We invited the high schools to come down, and it was not free. We don't offer free curling because, other than our open house, free gives it no value, and people are not committed to something that's free. If you sign up for a Learn to Curl and it's free, you've got no skin in the game, and there's no reason, as Neil said, for people to show up necessarily. So we make sure that we charge for everything. We keep the rates low. For us, we charge per sheet of ice $27.50 for a whole sheet of ice for an hour for a school. But here's what we did, is we went to the schools and we went to the teachers, who are the key to everything, and we offered free curling open house for them one day. Come down, we're going to buy you beer, we're going to give you some food. I don't know about your liquor laws in the United States. You guys will have to check on that. But we invited the teachers to come down and try curling for free, and that was their step into the ground. It gave us an opportunity to present to the schools directly, hey, here's a program that you can do with your kids. You can take a bus, you can take the public transit, whatever you want, come down and teach your kids how to curl. And we call it Sport for Life, activities that they can do outside of, say, playing football or basketball or hockey. Something very inexpensive, and we have all the rental gear available to them. So that got us going. So we currently have every high school in our community, in Kelowna's just around 250,000 people. So all the high schools, all the elementary schools, all the middle schools, which are grades 7, 8, 9, and plus the most of, but not all, the elementary schools coming on a regular basis for our daytime program. So that works great for us. And going back to the safety issue, that's one of the reasons that we have helmets and headbands and things like that going. I want to go back to, again, something Neil was saying earlier. We also have in our building a lot of games other than curling. What you guys want to do is make sure there's a reason to come. So we're finding that people will come curling, and they'll kind of use the club for their older kids as a daycare. You know, they can come out and curl on a Friday night, and the kids can go upstairs, and we have ping pong, foosball, air hockey, darts, shuffleboard, you know, and a pool table, 2 pool tables. And that gives something to do other than just curl. So the kids can go upstairs, have a bit of an activity if they want. Sometimes it annoys the bartenders, but most of them are pretty good, with the understanding that the kids can't just run around. But the parents then can come up and play with their kids and have their kids go out curling. And the parents can, when the kids are curling, come up and do something else. It gets people to come down and use the facility, which I honestly believe is the single most important thing any curling club can do in the United States or Canada, and that's make themselves important to their local community. If people know that they can stop by, watch curling, and play a game while they have a beverage or something to eat, that makes a huge difference to trying to get them to come into curl. So that kind of feeds me into a program. We have programs that are similar to what Neil was doing. We actually started with our parks department doing a 8-week program of Learn to Curl, and we found it wore people down. Yes, they learned really well how to curl because we had some great qualified instructors, but that's not what people wanted. We were finding that it was wearing thin, spending 3 weeks learning how to throw and talking too much to them and talking at them, and they didn't spend enough time throwing. So what we offer is on Sundays we have taco or burger and curl, and on Saturdays we have taco and curl. What you get for $25 is 2 hours of ice time, all your rental gear, and your food. And you get to book your time slots. We book time slots, and if one person comes down and wants to do it, or 8 people and they want to play a game, we leave it up to them what they want to do on their sheet of ice. It's not us telling them what to do. We give them a little sheet that gives them some safety ideas, but what they end up doing is they come down, they'll book. Our most popular time slot is at 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning. They come down, they have lunch right after. At 1 o'clock, we provide the burger on Sundays, and then they watch football and play games at the club all afternoon. And it makes the club a much more vibrant and active place because we don't want people to leave after curling. We want them to stick around. If you don't have a kitchen, do pizza, do something. Get people to come down on those dead days. We were finding that our bonspiels were becoming the 3 and 4 day bonspiels that used to be huge in Canada were disappearing because no one had the time commitment because of family that they could commit to a 4-day event, 3-day event, even a 2-day event. So we've switched a lot of our bonspiels over to single 1-day events. So what our most popular one is called the Brewmasters. And what we do is we play 3 4-end games, and in between every game, a different brewery provides beer. So they get to do a tasting. So it gives you a reason to come down and use your club. It's 3 4-end games, so it doesn't take much time. And you can bring people that are novices or new curlers to come down and give it a try. You know, so, and then we do a nice meal afterwards. If you don't have a kitchen, do a pizza party, do anything, bring in a caterer, keep it inexpensive. But what you do is you'll find those are the people that will be committed to your club, and it works great. So Taco, Curl, Burger, and Curl book. Every weekend we book those in, and Sunday is our most popular day where it used to be dead. You know, and so that worked out really well. And now we have a whiskey and wine bonspiel, we have a Brewmasters bonspiel, we have a doubles bonspiel. All of them are 1 day, 1 afternoon, 1 meal. Include a meal with it, and people feel like they're getting a great value. They get 3 or 4 curling or 3 or 4 end games, and our family ones, which we do with kids and grandparents, we try to make the games achievable. If you go to our website, KelownaCurling.com, we have some alternative games that you can play with people. Like I said, duct tape curling, pygmy curling. There's lots of different variations to try and get people doing things. I saw that Neil had over at his club, they had crokinole and curling, which is awesome. Give people a reason that hey, I know how to play crokinole. Curling can't be that hard. Give them a reason to come down. When we used to have through our Parks Department, going back to our Learn to Curl program, was an 8-week program. We'd get 20 or 30. We would be fortunate to convert maybe 30 or 40%, which was, that was good. We're happy with that. What we found is that we were finding holes in Kelowna. I don't know. I'm thinking you guys probably have slow pitch leagues down there. We have summer and fall slow pitch leagues. Kelowna has 170 slow pitch teams. So we found that those people would sign up, and there's usually 12 or 14 people on a team. They're co-ed, and those are young people playing slow pitch, and we wanted to find something to convert them into curlers. So what we offered was novice leagues. And so what we did was we made our novice leagues, we made some changes. They were only 6-end games. You could have as many players as you want on the team, and you rotate your players every game. And so we started that with 1 league, 10 teams, and that was about 14 years ago. We have over 90 teams playing in our novice leagues. What we did was we made it very inexpensive. We made it a 10-week program, so we have a fall and a winter program. And what happened was curlers would join with 6 or 8 players on a team. They divide the cost up to keep the cost down low. Currently, we're charging about $560. We started with it at about $300, so it was very inexpensive, and we've been able to raise the price because we're not losing people, and we allow you to rotate every end. What was happening is they would sign up with 6 or 8 people, and they'd get bored because they were sitting upstairs drinking while their teammates were down playing, so they'd split in half and make 2 teams, and then 3 teams. And so all of a sudden we went from 10 teams to over 90 teams in our novice leagues, and at one point we were offering novice league every day of the week in the late draws because it was inexpensive. So we'd keep it cheap, we'd keep it 6 ends, and we'd only get the late draws because none of our regular members wanted to curl at 8 or 8:30 at night. So we put all our novice leagues in there, and they loved it. They're younger. Some had kids, some didn't. Maybe the kids went to bed, and it gave them a time to get an opportunity to get a babysitter and jump out there. And so they came down, and that's expanded for us. I know I'm firing an awful lot of stuff in there, and I can't see the audience, and I'm used to seeing the audience. Any questions so far?
Yeah, so there are a couple of questions in the chat. Can everybody see my screen? Like nobody's they're seeing. Anyways, we got a problem in the room, but I think it's all right everywhere else. So great stuff here. I have one question, Neil. Is when did you do a survey of your Learn to Curls to find out what the feedback was? Because I wonder how many clubs ever do that. And as someone who's heard people talk about the origin of granite from Elsa Craig for too long, I'm sure you got that feedback. So when did you do the surveys?
It's not my first time doing this. All right. Thanks for that question, because we actually worked it in. Someone in the chat asked what program we use. We use Vertical Response. It's an older program, but it's free to nonprofits. So if you're on a nonprofit model, you just put in your paperwork, and then you can actually work in a 1-question survey. So we do a 1-question survey. We don't make it any more than that. And it's just open-ended. It's just tell us what was shocking, surprising, or cool, or just give us one suggestion. And so then we are very open-ended, so people can give us a little bit of praise. We don't get a ton. I mean, we get surveys to death, right? Everybody gets surveyed to death. So we multiplied every criticism by 5, and we took every bit of praise and just kind of put it on the wall and just said, congrats. We actually had a good experience. So we assume that if one person had that problem, probably 5 others did on that draw. So we started making some right-sized decisions. It's slow, it's tough. I mean, but working it into your post, we send everybody an email after they do an experience with us. So I can't say enough about the Savannah Bananas. That's who you have to go to their website. I met Jesse this fall, talked to him. He is all about a customer fan experience. Of course, they have a massive staff, but they had some really big institutional problems. They work with the municipality of Savannah. They are actually partners with them, and they're in an almost 100-year-old stadium with no amenities, and they sell out every game. And how that journey happened is he said that the product that you see on TikTok right now was 15 years in the making. And so if you look at our website and look at the Savannah Bananas website, you might see some similarities, different color schemes, but we're doing that. So if you are looking for how to take a customer experience and really kick it up to 1,000%, I encourage you to dig into the story of the Savannah Bananas. They made 100 mistakes. I'll share a mistake story, and then I'll kick it back to you. The mistake that they made was the most famous thing on the ESPN documentary, which was a flaming bat. They said they had a guy and they caught the bat on fire, and then they would hit it and everybody would cheer. It made this great videos, and they put too much lighter fluid on the bat and sent one of their players to the hospital, which is easily translated in a curling club. If you're doing all these fun events and somebody falls on the ice, or you don't take care of your safety problems, then you're going to be then you shut the whole Learn to Curl down. The potential for injury is real. So not taking care of your safety things is top of mind. And he said it was his worst day as owner of the team, because he had hurt one of his players. And so they made 100 mistakes. So he shared his mistakes. I think that's going to be important as we go on this journey, is to share mistakes. Just say, you know what, we made mistakes. and our mistake this fall was wrong social media. We stuck to Facebook and had really great response for about $400 a semester. And that it just didn't hit. We had all the wrong demographic of Charlotte in there. So we are seeing Facebook die, a slow death. It's like Blockbuster. Yeah, it's going to be slow, but then it's going to be quick.
So
I
are
would
you
say
on,
that-
or what are the other ones you're on? Are you on sort of like all of them now, Neil? Is that the?
we're trying to get on all of them. My marketing department is one person. So if you want to be
Yeah.
marketing at Charlotte Curling, but we're going to be Slack, Discord, Snapchat, and TikTok. So we're working towards that, and that's going to be by January. We'll be on all those
Nice.
formats.
Hey, Jock, I have a question for you. Just you talked about that. How did you do that teacher outreach? How did you tell them there was free curling, or and do you do that? Or is it an annual thing, or how did that work?
No, it started out as annual until I got them sucked in. What we had was we've got some tie-ins because we have teachers at curl. I just went to the heads of every athletic department, starting with the high schools, and invited them down and said, you know, we reached out. We have people on the school district board, and we just said, hey, we're offering this for free. You don't tell them we're offering free booze, because that's not really what you're trying to do. You're saying we're offering free lessons and a beverage and a snack afterwards, and you just keep it short, keep it right after school, so they don't have time to go home. Like, do it 4:30 for a couple hours. And we found that not only did we get the schools coming and doing their phys ed programs, but we're also doing their awards banquets, where we do some of the schools' graduation stuff, because we exist. We're community building. We are a not-for-profit, and that's what I keep going back to. Make yourself so important to the community that they want to support you, that they can't ignore you.
There's a question in the chat I'll throw to both of you, which is continued communication. What do you do for that after people have participated in sessions? Unless, I guess we already talked. That's the survey, Neil, but do you do anything else?
Oh, Neil, you're on mute.
Yep. We actually have them opt in to communication, not opt out. So we don't want to communicate with people that don't want our communication. So we market to people that want our events the next time. If we do a pop-up Learn to Curl, we actually provide coupon codes for people who are on our list and are return customers. And we use that vertical response because it's free. And it's solid. It's a little bit of learning curve to get your, and they do some spam checking and things like that. It's not the most powerful program, but it is the most free program.
For me, we have a newsletter that goes out. I try to keep it minimal because I know some people get so much spam. But what I try to do is put stuff in there that's interest. So all my bond spiels go in on a newsletter, and if you sign up to curl at the club, you're automatically put in. There's an unsubscribe button right at the bottom, so if people want to get out. Currently, I have about 1,800 people on my list and 1,200 members. So people generally will opt out once they've quit curling. But some of them, I get lots of people say, hey, I moved away. If I move back, I just want to know what's going on. And they just want to know what's going on. So that, for me, is really important to do that with the newsletter. It's great because there's no longer, you don't have to worry about printing and copying, and, you know, keep it short, sweet, and simple. Deliver the message clearly, make it good in your subject lines. I can't tell you right now, I'm going to be heading over to Slack, Discord, TikTok, and Snapchat after listening to Neil, because, you know, the Facebook response is getting slower. We still use Twitter as well, or Z, or whatever it's called, or X, but.
So, Jock, just on the softball thing, when you went out to, so the softball teams joined basically as their teams, right, in a league, and when did they play? What did you found basically open ice, I guess?
That's it. So I'll fire it back at you. So what we did was a couple of things. Is one, we find our open leagues are the most attended. Traditional men's, women's, and mixed have disappeared mostly for us. We have no more mixed leagues whatsoever. What we have is we have open, which means anything, any combination of men and women, or no combination, and we have mixed open, which means you can be 2 and 2 or 3 and 1, but you have to have one of each. So. But what we did was we had a couple nights that were quiet, so we put the novice leagues out there. The first thing I did was we went to the ball fields with flyers. You can't always get away with this. We put flyers on every windshield wiper, and we told so people knew it was there. Even if we pissed them off, we had them talking about us. The other thing is I went to the radio stations, and I mean, I don't know how many in your communities, but we've only got about 5 or 6 stations. And so what I did was I gave every station a free team. Do what you want with it. Do a raffle, do a contest, do whatever you want. And I gave them a free team spot to get us started. That gave me free advertising, and it got some excitement, you know. And what we did was we threw in a free lesson for that team, so that when they came out and joined the Novice League. So what I had by doing that was I had a guaranteed 6 spots were going to be taken, which is enough for a league, by having 6 stations all give away a thing. Well, I only did that for 3 half seasons. So I did it fall, winter the first year, and then fall the following year. And by then it had just taken off and exploded, and my novice leagues were filling by themselves, and I didn't have to give away any more free spots. So it worked great for us.
Hey, Neil, you have 200 members in 4 sheets, so you have lots of capacity, right? So what are the I mean, you're also generating revenue outside, so that certainly makes up for a lot of, including selling these. So people can get a vinyl of their pet and put it in the ice. Is that it?
Yeah, we did. Frank, I think, will string me up because
that's their ice tech, who's also on our crew. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think Frank won't ever do it again. We we offered it to our members to make the D sheet, the dog sheet, and then we just called it the pet sheet. And so we were able to generate about $3,000 of revenue for just people putting their pets in the ice. And so we would give them slots. There were 16 or 18 slots, I forget. One of our members completely took control of it, and we used the same vinyl signage for our, advertisers.
Yeah.
And so we just said,
we can make a plug for our sponsor Jet Ice here, but the other thing, if you look at your club, Neil, with 200 members, 4 sheets, where do you see the biggest opportunities? What nights, what times, what days?
Daytime for sure. Transient working folks. And we're still a banking town, so we have banking hours. And so our night leagues are actually mostly full, or 75% full, but our day leagues, we only have 2 day leagues. So we have we do a lot of corporate events or rentals or whatever you want to call it during the day, and that kind of supplements the. So that is our future problem, is to get folks that are near retirement, working from home, those kind of things, to come try us out. So that's what was interesting to hear from the other speakers.
You also mentioned that when you stopped pushing membership as much at Cocktails and Curling, that you got more members. So,
it was like.
So you're telling me my pushy sales tactics in curling don't work? Is that the deal?
It's just the opposite. The less you say, the more they want to know. They want to throw, and talking to them about being a member just put too much pressure on the situation. Actually, for the volunteers too, because if you give the expectation of, oh, you've got to go recruit members, then that changes the whole conversation, right? From about fun and curling and social, and to, oh, we got to go get 3 or 4 members off this draw, and that's professional salespeople love it, but other than that, it's not very successful.
I agree. I mean, that's a great tactic. Is hey, if you have any questions and you want to be interested, otherwise enjoy yourselves, have a great time, but you have to have something available to offer to them. Right back at the beginning, it's like you cannot invite people to come in and try curling and then that's it. You need to have somewhere for them to go if they choose to go there. And I'm a big fan of the low pressure sales. It's easy to sell a product that you really believe in, and obviously Neil believes in his, and it's just make more doors open and available for people to go to. That's what you need to do.
I think Brad from Curl Vegas just had a question. I was hoping he was going to ask how can he build 12 sheets in Vegas, but I don't think he's going to quite there yet. He said, so his question for you, Jock, do you operate with volunteers as most clubs do? I don't think so, right?
No, so I moved originally from Toronto, the Toronto area 30 something years ago. And when I got here, there was a fair bit of volunteers, but not too many. I initially got here, our food service was minimal, and our volunteers were pretty much large and in charge. And so what we chose to do is make it a business. So we went from about 16 people on staff to 45 people on staff. It took me a long time to do that. But what we offer is not like
There was just a groan here when you said 45 people on staff, an audible groan here in the room.
So what happened is we had a real survey, like Neil's survey is awesome. What we actually had was a survey done on our building and the costs to replace it and repair it. So we looked at that and we went, you know what? We cannot continue to exist if we do not increase our revenues outside of just of our membership. So when I first got here, I want to say that my curling fees probably represented 70% of my membership. And then we made up the other 30% with food and beverage sales, doing trade shows, other things like that in the off season. Now I'm down below 40%. So I keep my curling fees low by doing things other than curling. I offer a full service food and beverage. So by offering food, what we did was we put table service in. And yes, our prices went up and we weren't charging $2 a drink anymore. We're charging $4. But people came after the game and sat down and got an experience. They got to relax. They got to enjoy themselves. They didn't have to put in their 18 hours of volunteer time working the bar or pushing the ice mop or whatever. It was all full service. But we had to get there. It didn't happen automatically. But we're finding that volunteerism is declining. The people that are volunteers are mostly seniors. And so for us, we had no choice but get away from it and get into a full service type situation. And again, we're a not-for-profit. So we're now at 1.8 million in sales.
I'm going to throw it. Neil just answered in the chat, but Neil, I do want to ask you. You say you're in a transition phase, but I know you also definitely don't have 45 employees. So with all your creative innovations, how are you managing it?
Well, we're in transition, so we do not have any paid staff, but we are actually we monetized our rentals. That wasn't really the main topic of conversation, but we started cutting in our volunteers because we noticed that gas went up, travel time was included. So we actually check with your tax professionals. We have one on our staff, and so if it cuts to our mission and vision, and we're not paying people, we are reimbursing them their gas money. And so that took our rentals from about $40,000 a year top line to last year was $120,000 in top line. So we had about $440,000 of top line revenue. And then with our costs included, we cleared about $100,000 last year.
One thing I do suggest to clubs is, as much as we all love volunteer culture, to Jock's point, it gets harder and harder to use volunteers, and then we end up with a core group of volunteers at every club. They get frustrated. So I think, Neil, your point is probably a good one, in that look at some of the things that maybe you can take off volunteers' plates so that they actually want to do some fun things. I mean, I think there's probably clubs in the United States that could consider some sort of manager that they don't have right now. But I think that's something for clubs to think about. Looks like Jock's typing. I'll let him finish up. He's a very slow typer, Jock. Is that a hunt and peck style you're doing there? What's going on?
That is correct. I was just mentioning, there was a question on the charging. We charge $21 an hour or 2 hours for ice time.
Wow.
And that includes helmet, and that's per person, and that includes helmet and any headgear and shoes, brooms, everything all included. Like I said, that's quite a bit cheaper for our school rate, which we also use for the Boys and Girls Club and for the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, that kind of thing as well. I think it's really important that we're finding clubs in Canada, because a lot of them are very old, that they're not charging what's appropriate for the equipment and the to maintain a building. And so what happens is you get compared to somebody who's really inexpensive. And it's not that they're really inexpensive, it's that they're delaying the cost of repairing their building. So we have to be, and this is a Canadian issue. I don't think it is in the US, because you guys are starting with a lot of newer buildings. But it's, hey, be weary of making your sport undervalued.
We're going to start a price fixing thing down here is what we're going to do at USA
No,
Curling.
no problem with that at all.
A minimum price you can charge. Hey, Neil, I want to ask you, you mentioned grippers that you got in the survey. People didn't love grippers or something. And then I've heard, Jock rents, double gripper shoes. Have you guys ever looked at buying those and renting those? Because I think if you did enough, it'd probably pay for themselves pretty quickly.
Yeah, we actually had to buy, I think Goldline was should have been a major sponsor. We had to buy enough grippers for 3 sheets of curlers because that's at one point for both shoes. So we actually made it a whole station. It's kind of underneath our Hornet, and it's a whole social thing. And then we have seats for them to do it. And our volunteers have gotten really good at identifying how to get those grippers on. So it's kind of their first station. They just kind of head across the club, grab a drink if they want, and then go get their grippers on. So it's and actually I'll shout out the instructor courses from USA Curling, because that's where we started this conversation. A couple years ago in February during the pandemic, Matt Snyder and Christy Fannin had run our instructor level 1 and 2 course, and it was we had about 10 of us from Charlotte Curling, and we rethought our Learn to Curl program because of their questioning. So I know you didn't ask for the plug, but getting those folks, somebody that knows, that's part of the curriculum, is look at what your program is, ask the question, how do we create a great customer experience? Because that's the entry point to our sport.
Have you, Neil, what have you, here's a tricky one. If you're in your position, how do you communicate to a volunteer instructor who may be talking too long about the unique curling scoreboard, for instance?
Yeah, we actually optimize our instruction. We give them a sheet, and if they've never instructed before, they're actually going to mirror someone who has. And so we the lead instructors, it could be me or someone else, they actually are encouraged that everybody comes off the ice at exactly the same time. That is a huge, big thing because if you keep someone else on the ice and someone else gets off early, then those people that got off early don't feel like they got the same value as the people that were getting yapped at about the scoreboard or whatever else that they wanted to drone on about. So our instructors, just the culture is we get on the ice at the same time, we get off of the ice at the same time, hit your times, hit your marks. And if that's not happening, then they get to hear not happy, smiley Papa Neil. They get to hear the business end of Papa Neil.
Nice. There's a question here. Wayne Anderson has a question.
Hey, Wayne.
Yeah, Jock, you mentioned you got high school students involved by first getting teachers to come out and try it, give them a free session. Have you thought about doing anything or experimented with senior living communities, having the social activities directors from them come out and see whether they'd be interested in getting their seniors to come out and try curling?
I think that's a great question. Regency Retirement Resorts is our sponsor for the our Monday Open House League. So we have directly reached out to those active adult communities that are looking to do things. So yes, we have. We also reached out to the Newcomers Club. Kelowna has a fairly large section of retirement people. So the Newcomers Club comes here. They play backgammon and crokinole and bridge here on a regular basis, and some of them go curling, and then they eat and drink here. So yes, that is absolutely one of the things we do reach out to is active retirement resorts. Brought to you by Regency Retirement.
Yeah, I mean, some of our growing clubs are in, markets like Denver, where they have a particularly young crowd. But I think that especially trying to fill some of those other hours, that's a good target. Neil, you mentioned having people take photos out on the ice. Do you take the photos, or do you just get them to do it? I know at Triangle, your sister club over there in North Carolina, they videotape the Like if they have a private rental, they videotape the whole rental and then put it on YouTube for people to look at later?
Yeah, they do a great job of that, and I think Trevor Gow and that crew they have it really going on with the AV. If you've ever been in their club, it's a very integrated system. I'm kind of jealous of it. So they it, we take the pictures generally, although the instructor was in that one, so I think someone else did it. But yeah, we actually give about 5 minutes ice time. Just go out. Sometimes they take it in the ring, sometimes they take it in the warm room, and we actually encourage them to tag us, and then we get more engagement that way. So as soon as they see their friends there, they get a little bit of FOMO, and they want to sign up for our next session.
Great. I don't know if I have Neil wrote in the chat, we only had 8 to 10 ICE volunteers last season. We actually recruited engineers, people who love spreadsheets. I think that you wrote people who love spreadsheets and women, but you meant people who love spreadsheets and women too.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Extra.
Yeah. The ice crew looks like
it was
our
not
club.
womanizing engineers. Let's put it that way. So
No. We've specifically asked people who were women engineers, people who, we asked our membership when they come on board, what's your job? And do you like ice? And do you like, the ice is kind of an art and a science. So we really recruited heavily. Now our ice crew is about 35 people.
Great. I don't see any other questions in the chat. If you guys we're almost right at the end here, so we perfectly timed this really well. I really appreciate the time of both of you. I know I've enjoyed talking to you separately, both of you at different times, and interested to hear all these ideas. So if you guys want to offer a few things before we wrap up, go right ahead.
Go ahead,
Neil, go
John.
for it. No, Neil, you're on.
I would say don't be afraid to make mistakes. Yesterday, Dean said, "Build the plane as you fly it," and that and so I would encourage you, try something new, and if you fail, it's just an opportunity for learning.
I couldn't agree more. I think what we are failing to do, and what I hear coming out of Neil's voice, is not failure. It's operating like a business instead of operating like a volunteer organization. In the end, if we don't bring revenues in and profit, then we will fail. We have to give value to what we're doing, and what we're offering isn't just curling. It's a whole social life, and it's a lifestyle that we all love. And so I really believe that if you can actually look at it more as a business and less as a not-for-profit or a charity, then we'll all be better off in the long term. But I appreciate anyone who just showed up for this meeting, because there's so much out there, and I can't tell you, I've filled a page full of notes listening to Neil, because there aren't a whole lot of new ideas. They're just stolen from other people.
Yeah, we stole the name Cocktails and Curling from like about a dozen other U.S. clubs. So sorry, we took your thunder.
You are totally speaking my language, Jock, because we are trying to steal from everywhere right now. There anywhere there are good ideas, we want to make sure we're circulating them. So
absolutely.
Thanks to both of you. We'll wrap this session up. For anybody who's attending later this afternoon, we have Saeed Hakim from ISS. They do the ice grid system. He'll be on for half an hour, and at 12:45, that's followed by the Arena Club resources session, which will be great for people in that situation. And then we've got a couple sessions with the national teams and some awards at the end of the afternoon. But thanks, everybody. See you later, guys.
Thank you.